That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
And with that, we're off. We're running another brand new live edition of Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. We're with you until 9 a.m. on a Tuesday morning as we wake up after crowning another college football national champion. This time it was top seed Georgia, third seed TCU, and this one all Georgia last night. 65-7, the final score of the college football national championship. Georgia dominating this ball game. Georgia would lead for 56 minutes in this ball game. They were tied for 3 minutes and 59 seconds, partially because you had the kickoff and TCU's first 3 and out, and then how long it took Georgia to score on its first possession. Total plays, Georgia would run 72 plays last night. TCU would run 51 for 188 yards. Georgia would roll to 589 yards of total offense. Georgia would have 238 yards of plus territory yards in the first half. Average play on first down, yeah, Georgia would average 8.7 yards a play on first down last night. So Georgia finished 15-0. They joined Clemson in 18, LSU in 19 as the only 15-win teams since the late 1800s. Georgia's 58-point margin of victory surpasses the previous margin of 38 in a national championship game when Nebraska got by Florida 62-24 in the 96 Fiesta Bowl. It also bested the 36-point margin in the 2004 BCS title game between Oklahoma and USC. Georgia's Stetson Bennett is the first player in college football championship game to earn the Offensive Player of the Game honors twice, as he did it last year and this year. And how about this? Georgia did not have a play for negative yardage until its 50th of the game. Its only minus play on first down was the kneel down on the final drive. Georgia completely dominant last night in the national championship game.
Yeah, they were, and, it proved beyond a shadow of doubt the SEC's the best league. And, I'm still having a debate on Twitter with a Big Ten idiot who actually thinks that they got it right with the committee and everything. And I
think they did.
I don't think they did. They didn't get it right. The 4 best teams were not in the playoff. We knew that. I know you can la-di-da and talk about how good the semifinal games were. Who cares? That doesn't matter. Everybody knew as soon as you watched Alabama play Kansas State, because there was no opt-outs in that game. Kansas State was motivated. Alabama was motivated. Alabama crushed Kansas State. Kansas State beat that sorry-ass TCU team we watched last night, and they got crushed 65-7. Okay? The 2 best teams didn't play. They penalized you almost for being, from the same conference. I know they put 2 Little 10 teams in, but as we all saw, neither one of those teams were good enough. Ohio State nearly was. The 3 best teams in the country talent-wise are Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, in that order.
Oh, I agree.
And it's about getting the best teams in.
But if you're Alabama, you can't lose to LSU.
I know they lost, but 2 losses shouldn't matter as far as in some cases, because again, TCU they lost to K-State, man. K-State had 3 losses. TCU, if you go back and look at their schedule, they beat a bunch of teams on the last play. The Big 12, I think. Bowl games don't matter as much because people opt out, but the Big 12 won 2 bowl games, and one of them was a playoff victory by TCU. The only other one that they won was Texas Tech. I mean, look, man, Alabama was one of the 4 best teams. I thought that by the end of the year. I know they lost 2 games, But again, the two best teams, and I said this, the two best teams in the country, the best team was Georgia. Georgia would have beaten Alabama still, in my opinion. Georgia was the best team. But again, and now I'm glad they are expanding the playoff in a way, because it's going to turn into the SEC Invitational. There's going to be 3 of the Final 4 will be SEC teams, maybe even, I hope, at one point, 4 out of 4. Because I really think that I'm sorry, I can't help it that the SEC has better players, better coaches, and these leagues suck. Because they do. They're not any good. Ohio State had enough talent to beat Georgia. Really probably should have. But they don't have a good enough head coach. The head coach is not a big game guy. That's why Harbaugh blew him out. Because Harbaugh is a better coach than him. Now, if Michigan had played a little bit better, they would have beaten TCU. They turned it over 5 times. They didn't. They played probably their worst game at the worst time. Mm-hmm. But they would not have beaten Georgia either. Now, I don't think it would have been 65-7. But it would have been a decisive Georgia win. Yeah. If you wanted to ask me, how do I think Alabama and Georgia would have turned out? Not anywhere close to 65-7. If I had to, I would have said probably 35-20, something like that. Maybe 35-21. Probably still 10 to 14 points. Probably more closer to the 14. I just think Georgia was the best team. They were the best team I saw.
Right.
I mean, especially along the lines of scrimmage. I think Alabama, still could have, with Bryce Young, could have exploited the secondary a little bit. But the receivers weren't the John Mechie's of the world and the Jamison Williamses of the world, and they certainly don't have a Brock Bowers.
Oh, Brock Bowers had 7 passes last night, 152 yards, 2 touchdowns. And 6 first down earns last night. He had a 21.7 yard per catch.
They could have thrown him the ball. They could have thrown it to him 15 times. It wouldn't have mattered. I mean, I just sort of felt like when they called a play, let's get him one more time, one more catch or whatever. I mean, that defense
just spread the wealth
from Texas Tech. I mean, excuse me, I don't even care who the hell they were. TCU, they were awful. I mean, they were piss poor. They were small. They didn't have a clue what was going on. Their asses were as tight as the damn day is long. Yeah. They got on the biggest stage, and they completely just absolutely gagged.
I said yesterday, would it be like the Alabama-Notre Dame game where the size
it was
comparison
basically.
Was, but, the line comparison that year between Alabama and Notre Dame was a huge difference. You were grateful to be there was Notre Dame, but then when you get into it, there wasn't even a closeness.
When you look and you also think about it, that year a couple of times Notre Dame had miracles where they stayed undefeated, and people thought they were a team of destiny and yada yada yada, but they got popped. And I mean, I had a Big Ten guy on Twitter telling me, Alabama didn't win their division. I said, hey clown, Alabama didn't win their division when they won the national championship in 2011. Well, they didn't win their conference. Well, they didn't win their conference when they won it all in 2017 either. I mean, TCU didn't win their conference. TCU finished second in the Little 12. I mean, give me a break.
So last night the Bulldogs held TCU to 188 yards on 51 plays.
Yeah.
Okay. They had 4 plays of 10 yards or more last night, did TCU. The other 47 plays, 80 yards for a 1.7 yard per play. TCU came into the game with 20-plus play. I mean, they were 1-2 nationally. Both teams were 1-2 nationally coming in with 20-yard-plus plays per game, and happened last night.
I'll be honest with you. I and you've heard me on this show for the last several days. I picked 38-20. A decisive win and covering for Georgia. Now it was 10 times worse. And you could pretty much tell it was going to be by the end of the first quarter. It was just like, okay, how bad does Georgia want to beat this bunch? And that's basically what it was. Yeah. I mean, I'm like you. I referenced Alabama and Notre Dame. I was like, that's exactly what this is. It's just a beatdown. But then the more I started thinking back to it, I was more disappointed. Now, not in Ohio State, because they did nearly everything they needed to do to beat Georgia, but their coach choked. I was more disappointed in how Michigan played, because while I still think Michigan loses that game, I think it would have been a better game. I just don't understand. Now, the officiating wasn't great, but the officiating didn't really lose Michigan the game, in my opinion. That Michigan was just sloppy.
Right.
And I'm just
the
like,
2 turnovers.
I'm just like, how did
Yeah.
Michigan lose to this team? Now, if they had Blake Corum, again, the injuries happened. If Alabama had their guys, they might have won it repeated last year. Blake Corum losing him was huge, but I just didn't understand how Michigan, because I was just like, wow, how could Michigan lose to this TCU team? Because they looked so good all year. We know they went to the Horseshoe, and they absolutely freaking dominated Ohio State, even without Blake Corum, because he only played one play?
Yeah.
So they dominated him. I'm sitting there thinking, what happened? I'm like, good Lord. I mean, to me, it stunned me. I mean, I was just like, I couldn't fathom how they lost, because it was what I thought. I mean, TCU is a great story. I was more surprised that TCU won their playoff game, because after I saw them lose to K-State, I was like, I really don't think this team deserves to be in this thing. I know they only lost 1 game, but I'm just talking about eye test. You're looking at them and you're like, what in the hell? And then I just could not believe that Michigan didn't beat them. I just thought Michigan would take care of business, get their rematch with Georgia, lose the game, but I just thought Michigan would be there and the whole night. And then, again, when I watched Alabama dismantle K-State, I was like, wow, Alabama dismantled this team. I was like, this playoff is not going to be very good. And then the semifinal games were better than anyone ever thought, but the national championship game was still a beatdown. I mean, it's just, Kirby could have scored 70 if he wanted to.
Easily.
He took his foot off the gas, and I did applaud him for that. He took Stetson out with 10, 11, 12 minutes, give him an ovation, give some of these defensive guys an ovation, play all these backups, and heck, then Branson Robinson's ran all over TCU about as bad as the first string. Right, I was like, wow, just put your walk-ons in now. Let's get everybody in, get Rudy in, get everybody in, and I would just play everybody. Play them in a national championship game, even though it looked like, well, I'll give Czar credit. I guess it was on Unleashed just a second ago. It was like a speed bump, like first game of the season. Let's just get it over with.
So Georgia outgained TCU by 401 yards last night, the most in a BCS college football title game. The other 2, Nebraska outgained Florida in the 96 Fiesta Bowl by 360 yards. The third other one was when Alabama outgained Ohio State by 280 yards in the 21 football playoff game. So those are your top 3.
The Alabama, Ohio State, Alabama, Notre Dame, that Nebraska, Florida game you just referenced, and then this one that we just watched last night. Those are probably the 4 biggest. And the other beatdown, number 5, you probably remember in 04, pardon me, SC in Oklahoma. Yeah, it was 55-10, I think. It was us. It was just a bad awful.
One. All right, let's get our first break in. When we come back, we will get to your phone calls. 256-576-4977.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
We are looking at a heavy traffic load this morning, but got a little good news for you. No wrecks, no stalls, no traffic signal problems that we found that are causing any major headaches. You be careful on that trip in this morning. Snelling has immediate need for an experienced bookkeeper, part-time, great pay. Snelling, how the area's best companies hire talent. Huntsville.snelling.com. Captain Nick in the 72 and Jeff, Popeye's Skywatch Traffic Center.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Football season is here, and as always, the best place to catch every game is downtown at Humphreys Bar and Grill. Humphreys is celebrating by bringing back their game day football specials. $2.75 Miller Lite, Coors Light, Yingling, and $3.50 Yellowhammer Gold Pints. $4 Fireball shots. Anytime football is on. And don't forget football trivia every Sunday night at 6. The best place to catch all the games all season long is downtown at Humphreys Bar and Grill.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
The all-new Huntsville Boat Show kicks off on Thursday, January 12th and runs through Sunday the 15th. This is your chance to shop, compare, and save thousands on the purchase of a new boat with too many brands and models to mention here. So you're just going to have to come on down and check it all out at the Huntsville Boat Show at the Vaughn Brown Center, January 12th through the 15th. The region's premier dealers and retailers will be there with the latest in watercraft. Go to HuntsvilleBoatShow.com to learn more and get tickets. That's HuntsvilleBoatShow.com. We'll see you there.
Not looking or feeling your best? No energy for the things you like to do? Ready to look and feel younger? Make your appointment at Advanced Life Clinic, one of the region's foremost destinations for patients interested in looking and feeling their best. Specializing in advanced laser treatments and weight loss, male and female rejuvenation to offset the effects of aging, and more. See how Advanced Life Clinic can help you enjoy your life again. Call 256-882-6555 or log on advancedlifeclinic.com.
All right, welcome back to Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. When it rains, it pours, literally. Did you see this last night for the national championship?
Oh, yeah,
game?
yeah, it was
There's
like
no
pouring
walls.
buckets or something, yeah.
There's no walls in SoFi Stadium. They just have columns, and there's no walls. And it started rain. Well, it was kind of dreary, the whole thing. And then in the middle of the game, it started raining last night, and the wind picked up, and the rain kept blowing in on the TCU fan side. And so they basically,
how apropos is that? They're getting soaked. They're getting smashed.
They were getting soaked.
Oh.
And they were just getting hammered. So it was a miserable night all around for TCU inside SoFi Stadium. Plus, you couldn't tailgate outside. So it was nobody won last night, really.
Joe didn't want them tailgating.
For the national championship game. All right, Wolverine Dan with us on the phone lines this morning. Good morning, sir.
What's up, Dan?
Well, fellas, congratulations, Georgia. That was a complete domination.
But it's just, you understand what I'm saying, Dan? You understand what I'm saying about this missed opportunity stuff? How you got to be thinking, how does this happen? I mean, I still don't get it. I still don't know what happened, Oh,
I know what happened. It's called jumping in the phone booth with an alligator.
No, I'm talking about Michigan. Like, how did they lose to TCU? That's what I keep saying.
Well,
I just don't get it. Yeah, 5. I mean, I just.
That's your answer. It's 5 turnovers, 2 for touchdowns.
Yeah,
and
but it's just
Blake Corum didn't play, although Edwards is a really good running back.
He is. He's a really good. I don't understand how. Well, in some of the turnovers though was just questionable coaching calls. Now, interceptions happen, make a bad throw, whatever. But even throwing those 2 picks, they still could have won the game. It's just, I just don't get it.
Well, that should have indicated to me that maybe I should have picked Georgia, but I didn't.
Oh, really?
And you know what? Yeah. I'll say this much, Drew. It doesn't hurt as bad knowing that if we would have played that game, it could have been the same outcome very easily and not have to live a full year in this town with an SEC beatdown like that, and I don't think I really want that, Drew. So actually, I got kind of lucky.
I did say that I thought Michigan sort of lost. It would have been by double digits. I just don't think it would have been 65-7. But yeah, I understand what you're saying. It would have been a national championship game loss. I understand.
Every once in a while, and you know as well as I do because you live in the state, and so do I.
Yeah.
College and pro in other states, of course, because we don't have a pro team except the Titans in Tennessee. There are teams that just work together well, every facet, and they show up and show domination. And this could be a year-to-year thing with Georgia. We'll see what happens next year. I'm sure Alabama's got a lot to say about it, but they're probably cheesed off they didn't beat in the playoffs, and they probably would have done better than either TCU or, I will say, Michigan. So, I mean, I love my team. You all know I love my team. But you know what? Reality is, I think Alabama probably would have done a better job with Georgia. But Georgia's on their way to being a dynasty. If they, this is 2 in a row. I could see them doing 3 in a row. Can you?
Well, I mean, they got the schedule, and we'll see.
They've won 17 in a row right now. Has the Georgia
they got to replace Stetson, and he's been underrated his whole career. They'll lose some more guys to the NFL, but they plugged the holes this year. We'll see if they lose any coaches. They're certainly going to be on the short list. You have to say that. They're the best program in America right now. I'm not ready to say that Kirby Smart's and Nick Saban. Saban's had more long-term success, but they're the best program right now. You have to say that, or you're not credible in what you're saying. I mean, after what Scott just said, 17 in a row, and winning back-to-back college football playoff national champs, which nobody's done. So they're the best program right now, and they went 15-0, and they only had 2 close calls, Missouri and then the Ohio State Sockeyes. But yeah, I mean, no doubt. I mean, they're the best program, no question.
Well, it's nice to know. This past weekend, I didn't get to touch base with you, that my Super Bowl happened Sunday evening when I beat the Packers in Lambeau, which I was extremely happy about. And it holds well for the Lions because they became a winning program. They were 1 over 500. And the coach, this team had nothing to play for because Seattle won previously 45 minutes before they started. And look what happened. So I have a lot to be thankful for there. Michigan didn't win the national championship. Detroit didn't win the Super Bowl, but they both were very competitive. And then the Red Wings are playing better, so that's good. And I'm just excited. I still have a horse in a race, fellas. I still got Minnesota.
There you go.
They're going to beat the Giants, Gigantes. And then the next one, we'll see. It might be the 49ers, but you know what? I still have a path to that golden ticket.
Yeah, you do. And how much did you enjoy watching Detroit beat Green Bay? I mean, that was a hell of a win and end of the season for your Lions.
Not so much. I thought I don't want to, wait. Rodgers walking through the tunnel to the locker room. I felt bad about that. He looked like he was really down. I mean, I felt bad about that. He's been a great pro. I'll give you that. The reason why I don't like Rodgers because he's so good and he beat us so many times. But
yeah.
I like the fact this team showed up in the pride of a Lion. That's exactly what that was. And it's good to see we're being competitive and we're on the right path, right coach, right general manager. We've got a bunch of draft choices coming up. So life is good, guys. And you know what? I'm going to Mardi Gras, and I'm going by Biloxi, and I'm going to put money down on the Lions, and I'm going to put some money down on the Red Wings because the Stevie Eiserman, the general manager, has got the team playing. So, why not put a little coin on it? So with that said, fellas, congratulations, Georgie. Well-deserved, scary good. And Bennett, I love to see a guy like that walk on that shows up and just, right now, I'll tell you, fellas, the rest of his life, doesn't have to buy a dinner. Doesn't have to buy a drink. They might even just, what if he wants anything, he goes to a dealership, says, I want a car. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. So right. Thanks, Dan.
Thanks for the
Appreciate
call when we did. All right, let's go to Bulldog Johnny this morning.
What's up, Johnny?
What's up, Johnny?
Morning.
Hey, I just wanted to rant a little bit about Georgia. It really Stetson Bennett. Think about it. Walk on at Georgia. He transfers to another school. He comes back. Kirby Smart, and Kirby Smart's already admitted it. Offensive coordinator, you name it. Bulldog Nation. Get Mathis in there. He's our guy. Put J.P. Daniels in there. We got to win. We can't win with Stetson Bennett, and he proves us wrong last year. And I'll be dang. I said he needs to get out while the fire's hot. He's done made a legacy for himself. He comes back. He makes a complete ass out of himself. And he didn't. He proved me wrong. I've been a Stetson Bennett hater from day one. I will regretfully admit it. Maybe if you put a 4 or 5 star on the same kid, everyone changes his outlook. But, I mean, what guy just balls out, gets a standing ovation, puts himself down in the books as a legacy in Georgia Bulldog history. I mean, wow. Hats off to the guy. I mean,
Yep.
You can't say anything bad about him.
No, you can't, because DeJuan Mathis ended up at Temple, and J.T. Daniels is on his 5th school at Rice. So they both sucked, and Stetson was a hell of a player and a hell of a story, man.
Yeah.
Yes, he was. Like I said, put a different star by the kid's name, and maybe everyone is singing his graces the whole time. But I mean, it's wow. It's like as a Bulldog fan, you hate to hate on anybody, but
Right.
man, did he prove us all wrong.
Sure
He
did. Yep.
And you proved some of the coaches wrong, too, because
Yep.
the coaches kept doubting him as well. I mean, it wasn't just the fans.
Yeah.
I mean, think about this, and they said it last night in the national championship game. After they beat Alabama last year in the title game, or after they lost to Alabama in the SEC championship game, there were some fans that wanted JT
They
Daniels
wanted
to
JT the
start
Warrior.
the
Who
playoffs.
is it? Rice. He's at Rice.
Yeah,
He's at
that
Rice.
was me.
Yeah.
That was me. Hey, I said put JT Daniels in. There's no way we can win with Stetson Bennett. Absolutely no way. And he goes for 2.
Yeah,
There
goes
you
for
go.
2. Thanks for the phone call, bub.
Yeah.
Let's go with Rich this morning. Good
What's
morning,
up, Rich?
Yeah, man.
What's up, man?
Thank y'all for taking the call.
Yep.
First of all, we got to have a moment of silence for the Christian University. Georgia made a plethora of proverbs out of them last night. My
Lord.
favorite one being this: never bring a frog to a dog fight. Just complete domination.
Yeah, I think they made fun of that hypno frog thing. They were doing a hypno dog thing or something, I think. Yeah, it was
man,
bad.
I thought that, you know, after the Ohio State game, I thought that was the actual championship game.
Right.
The team won that game was gonna, you know, pull it all off. And man, I'm just so excited to be a dog right now. So we had a lot of years of just being in the dumps and being dogged out, especially living here in Alabama.
Right.
So man, it's great right now.
Well, I mean, it is.
You should
Enjoy
celebrate.
it. Absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks for the phone call, bub.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah,
Rich.
I mean, think about this, though. Last night, Georgia punted one time.
Oh, yeah. Just to get the punter in there and let him know he could punt.
48 yards, one punt.
So he can tell his kids he punted the national championship game in a beatdown.
That was
when we had our second G-Day game, which was the national championship game, and everybody played. I got to punt one time, and it was 65-7. Matter of fact, I didn't even look. Did they miss an extra point, or did they go for 2?
know. Georgia kicked off for 11 times for 704 yards last night.
That's hell. That's like 6 times the yards that the TCU Horn Nuts, Frogs, or whatever the hell they are, even gained.
Horn Nuts.
Whatever. I mean, come on.
Gonna break it.
Get out of here. These clowns. They shouldn't have been in there anyway. The Little 12. Great football there. Good God.
Break in, John.
Air Force 30, Baylor 15. That's all you need to know. I don't give a damn about opt-outs. Good God.
No Horn Nuts. Let's
Give
get
me
a
that.
break in. More Talking Ball when we return.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Just got a wreck reported in Hartselle. This one's on Chestnut. Sounds like it's going to be an injury type. Everything else looks good this morning. I don't see any other accidents, stalls, or traffic signal problems. You be careful on your trip in this morning. Membership at the Y means more than a workout. They have swimming pools, classes, and free child care, and special rates for the military with nationwide access. And for a limited time only, you'll pay no joining fee at the YMCA, Madison, and Huntsville. Captain Nick in the North Parkway Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
Great food and the best live entertainment is what it's all about at the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill. Head to downtown Huntsville every Tuesday for karaoke on the only outdoor karaoke stage in North Alabama. Thursday night is the Valley's longest running and biggest bike night. Food and drink specials, giveaways, and live music on the patio. And the Furniture Factory menu is fully loaded with options from steaks to salads, plus a whole lot more. Featuring a weekday happy hour that starts at 3. 619 Meridian Street, downtown Huntsville, and online at FurnitureFactoryBarGrill.com.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
A wise man once said, "If you take care of old folks and children, everything in the middle will take care of itself."
Hi, I'm Danny Aldridge, lawyer in Alabama and Tennessee. In the next 20 years, the number of those folks over 65 years of age will more than double. In our golden years, the most important goal is to be treated with dignity and have control over doing what makes you grateful with those you love. At the Aldridge Law Firm and the Legal Town Center, we're dedicated to help you with these goals, and we'll be there when life throws you those inevitable curveballs. Let us assist you with your legal needs, whatever they may be or become. You may reach us by phone at 256-534-3188 or online with Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Just remember, we're here to help. Whether it's personal injury, wrongful death, fraud and cheat, or estate planning made complete, we're here to help.
No need to get your tinsel in a tangle. The Alabama Boat Sale at Rambo Marine in Hazel Green is coming up January 13th through the 15th. With over 200 units in stock ready to be delivered, Rambo Marine will personally gift wrap it for you. Seal the deal today and you'll enjoy the No-Show More Dough Rambo Marine Special, a $3,000 additional discount. Mark your calendars for January 13th through the 15th to join us at the Alabama Boat Sale at Rambo Marine in Hazel Green. Ho, ho, ho! Santa approved.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Theisen, DeArmond. And we've been talking national championship all morning because, well, that is what the college football world is reacting to. But something we didn't get to mention yesterday on the show, we mentioned that Deuce Spurlock went into the transfer portal, former Madison Academy Mustang, former Michigan Wolverine. We didn't get to mention that over the weekend, he takes his visit to Florida and says, I'm going to be a Florida Gator.
And see, I saw an early report that on the Twitter that he was committed, but it just said official visit. And so I thought, well, because I got another message from somebody close to the Madison Academy program that said to watch Auburn because he got offered by Auburn late in the process. So you're thinking, well, he might come back, home to the state of Alabama. I was told that he was worried at Michigan that there's a lot of young linebackers in that program. He wanted to play by next year. Didn't think he was going to play next year at Michigan a lot. So he wanted to go somewhere that had a need. And I saw he was taking an official visit to Florida, and I thought that was interesting. I thought, well, I wonder how many more visits Deuce will take. Yeah. Well, like you just said, he took the 2 to 3 day visit to Gainesville, and then by the end of that one, boom, he's off the board. And so he's going to be playing for Billy Napier and that staff next year in Gainesville. And we wish Deuce all the luck in the world. He played some special teams, got a chance to play a little bit for Michigan. But, again, he's coming back home to the SEC, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the National Championship snoozer, and we're going to talk about something else we only briefly touched on yesterday, Scott, and that is the Jacksonville Jaguars. And, if I would have it just goes to show you how coaching matters. if they fit. You understand? When you hire Urban Meyer, that doesn't work when you're trying to play tiddlywinks or whatever he was doing in the NFL.
I mean, he did some good things.
You know, he was imitating his mentor Lou Holtz as being a complete and utter flop in the NFL. But then you go hire a Super Bowl championship coach who probably never should have been fired in Doug Peterson, and in 1 year you win the division, and that's the Jacksonville Jaguars. And, of course, we're going to talk to John Frary and wish him a happy new year. And, of course, you can hear him on 102.1 FM, 1240 WFOY, host of Sports Now, 1021news.com. John, welcome back to the show.
Happy New Year, guys. First of all, Urban Miller is affectionately what he's called here in Duval County, by the way.
Nice.
Urban Miller. And Drew, you couldn't have nailed it more on the head. Coaching does matter, and the Jacksonville Jaguars, under Wikipedia, is the prime example of that for the 2022 season. What a difference when you actually have a legitimate coach, how things can change, and it's been great. And I think Georgia just scored again, too, guys, by the way. Talking about that, thank goodness we're going to 12 teams in 2 years. If there was ever an endorsement for why we need 12, that game last night was it. But anyway, I mean, great year by TCU, but they should have never been in the national championship game. Let's get real. But great to be back with you guys. And I bet Deuce Spurlock was the young man you mentioned, too, before I came on. He's going to get significant playing time at the University of Florida. He has definitely found a home there. Billy Napier, the one major criticism I had of him in year one, and he inherited a difficult situation, to say the least, but I don't think he hit the transfer portal enough last year, guys, and I think that showed up during this past season in his first year at Gainesville. I think he's out to change that this year, to say the least. He had a very good incoming class coming in 2023, but he still needs to shore this up in the transfer portal, and I think Deuce Spurlock's one of the guys he's gotten that's going to be intriguing and get some time. Cameron Jackson came over last week from Memphis.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see him on the defensive side, on the defensive line as well next year. Caleb Banks has been acquired from the portal from Louisville. I'm not as excited about Graham Mertz at quarterback, I'll be honest with you guys.
Right.
I was disappointed there. I was hoping it was either going to be Devin Leary out of NC State or Sam Hartman out of Wake Forest. Graham Mertz was not what I wanted or a lot of the Gator Nation wanted down here. And so the question mark going into year two for Coach Napier, I think the biggest question mark in my mind is going to be that quarterback situation. I still don't think he's done yet in the portal, but a lot of the better ones are gone now. But Graham Mertz, I don't think is going to be the starter for the entire year next year. Maybe he's a placeholder for the first few games. And you might have to go with a true freshman, Jaden Rashada, which is not ideal, but that might be where Florida is right now because I just can't see Graham Mertz being a 12-game starter next year. I just don't see that from his body of work. At Wisconsin, maybe the young man proves me wrong, but I still like the direction Florida's going overall in recruiting and the transfer portal. I don't know if it shows up greatly in the win-loss column in year two, though, guys, because of the schedule Florida's got. They're going to open up at Utah.
Oh.
They beat Utah this past season, but it's going to be tougher out there. Cameron Rising's coming back at quarterback for Utah. That was announced yesterday as well. So, but I think Florida's going in the right direction, and I think in the next couple of years you're going to see a big-time improvement in the win-loss record. But I think it's going to be gradual because of the schedule and because of what Billy Napier inherited from Dan Mullen, which was not very good.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. And you mentioned that, Billy Napier in his first year didn't go a lot through the transfer portal. How much, we've seen coaches be very active. Sonny Dykes is going to have to be active. They lose 53 guys this year to TCU, so they're going to be very active. But we've seen other coaches not be active in the portal. And we've seen Lane Kiffin be very active. It's one extreme or the other, but how much was it that Billy Napier was just trying to play a year, see what he actually has, see what talent is there at Florida, and really try to build something rather than just go out and get a bunch of guys in year one through the portal?
I think that was Coach Napier's theory. I think you've hit it right on the head. I think he wanted to weed out who he didn't want for his culture. I think he wanted to see what he had, and I think he has the luxury, guys, and folks don't want to hear this, but he had a mulligan year because of what he inherited, so I think he has the time to do that, to be quite honest with you. I think Scott Strickland and the Florida administration is going to give him this time to do that, and I think that's the main reason he did not hit the transfer portal as hard as I would have liked to have seen him hit it or others. But I think moving forward, he's got his culture developed.
Yeah.
And he likes what he's got as far as the facility. He's got the standalone facility. It's in its second year now. He's starting to make a lot of inroads in the state of Florida in recruiting. As you guys know, he came from Louisiana.
Yes.
So he didn't really know the state of Florida that well. I mean, he knew it somewhat, but he wasn't here day in and day out like he has been this past year. So I think the thinking was, let's get down there, let's get the culture in place. I don't want to bring a bunch of guys in that I'm not really that familiar with, because he came here on December 5th last year. And he brought that up in his introductory press conference, that he just didn't want to go out there and get somebody that wasn't familiar with him or vice versa. But now I think you're starting to see the inroads pay dividends here. Terada Mitchell is another young man, by the way, from Ohio State that I think will be getting some significant time as well from the transfer portal. So I think you're going to see a lot of progress this year, guys. And he got a commitment from Caden Jones over the weekend, an offensive lineman as well. So you are starting to see progress. I know fans want to see it overnight. You guys know it doesn't work that way, especially when you inherit a difficult situation. So it's going to take a few years, I think. When I say a few, probably 3, to get Florida to where I think they need to be. But I think he's on the right road.
Well, and we know he had Kamar Wilcoxon, Brenton Cox. He got rid of guys along the way. As far as to circle back to Deuce, you know the depth chart much better than we do. He could play. He could play maybe a Sam linebacker. He could be an inside backer. I think Deuce is probably going to be an inside linebacker. But what does the depth chart look like for Deuce going into spring practice? As far as him, it sounds like you're confident that he will have a chance to play if he performs.
I think he's going to be an inside linebacker. I am confident he's going to have a chance to play significant time. Florida's defense struggled immensely this past year, guys. I mean, it was awful, to be quite honest about it. So I think Spurlock's going to have some significant playing time coming up this year, as well as a lot of freshmen, which, again, are not ideal, but Kelby Collins, Will Norman, some of these defensive linemen that Billy Napier's brought in recruiting. I think you're going to see a lot of young guys play significant minutes next year, and that's why I go back to, I don't know if the record increases immensely next year, meaning they only won 6 games this past year. That's not good enough for the University of Florida. We all know that. Maybe they go up to 7 or 8 next year, but it's going to be based on, I think, the transfer portal like Deuce Spurlock and a lot of young guys performing early, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And Jaden Rashada, I think, who's going to be in at quarterback sooner rather than later, unless Billy Napier adds somebody else. Because, again, I don't see Graham Mertz being the long-term answer.
Well, and John, we're talking to John Frary live from the Jacksonville, Florida, St. Augustine area, who extensively covers the Florida Gators and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Huge opportunity for the Jags now. They win the division. They get a home playoff game. Do they have a shot this weekend?
Absolutely. In fact, I'm picking them to win this weekend. They beat the Chargers back in September,
right,
38-10. Now, granted, the Chargers are not the team this Saturday night that they were then, meaning they had several key guys out, especially at wide receiver, Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. Having said all that, I like the Jaguars at home on Saturday night, a primetime game. First time in the history of the franchise, by the way, they've had a primetime playoff game, and we're talking 28 seasons.
Wow, that is
So
hardly
it's a pretty
28.
big
Wow.
deal. We talked about the coaching earlier. Doug Peterson has done a magnificent job with this young group. The play calling guys, I think, has been fantastic. It's put Trevor Lawrence in the best possible positions to succeed, which a former guy, which will remain nameless now, did not a year ago. And then I think the Jaguars, speaking of the transfer portal, it's called free agency in the NFL. They brought in 3 guys on the offensive side of the ball, Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, and Evan Ingram, who have just fit in culture-wise. They've picked up Doug Peterson's system. Trevor's got some great targets to throw to now. And the Jaguars' defense, which was a key this past Saturday, getting the big strip return fumble for a score late against the Tennessee Titans that won that game. They also had a pick 6 in overtime to beat the Cowboys a few weeks back. So I think all the way around it's going to be a great ball game. I'm looking for a 34-31 Jaguars victory on Saturday night. I think it's going to be a back-and-forth game between Justin Herbert and Trevor Lawrence, 2 young quarterbacks that I think are going to be future stars in this league for years to come. But I like Jacksonville to get it done, advance, probably play the Kansas City Chiefs in the divisional playoffs a week from now, depending on what else happens. But I love what I see going on finally in Jacksonville, and it's been long overdue, guys. The Jaguars have only been in the playoffs twice since the turn of the century, and we're in the year 2023, so that's certainly got to change moving forward. I think they're going to be in a lot more with Doug Peterson running the show.
Well, I'm looking forward to Calvin Ridley being with the team next year. I think it was a good move. He'll be with a good offense, good quarterback, good head coach that knows how to run a professional football franchise, unlike Urban Miller. I'm sorry, got to remember that now, Urban Miller.
Yep.
But unbelievable. But John, we appreciate it, and let everybody know how to follow you, brother.
Thank you. You can follow me on Twitter at JF_sportsnow and my show on 102.1 or 1021news.com. Tuesdays 4 to 6 and Wednesday through Fridays 4 to 5. And always an honor and a pleasure to be with you guys. And again, Happy New Year to everyone in the Huntsville area. And I think they're probably going to be a lot happier in the college football playoff next year. I think Alabama's going to be back in, guys, which is where they should have been this year over TCU, but that's another subject.
Yeah, thank you, John. We appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Let's get a break.
Urban Miller. We got to remember that one.
Well, we like Urban Liar better. Let's get a break in and wrap up Hour 1 next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got one wreck reported in Hartselle on Chestnut. That one may have an injury involved. Everything else seems to be moving along nicely this morning. I don't see any other snags. You be careful as you make your trip in. Dr. Sandman has the Somnodent, a safe, insurance-approved alternative for snoring and sleep apnea. Dr. Randall Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the 72 and Jeff, Popeye's Skywatch Traffic Center.
If you're ready to lower your utility bills, it's time to call Eagle Insulation. Eagle can handle it all. Attic re-insulation, insulation removal, wall insulation, and new construction insulation, commercial and residential. Our primary goal is to save you money, and lots of it. Typical clients realize their return on investment within 3 to 6 months. That means the re-insulation actually pays for itself and then some. See if we can help you. Contact Eagle Insulation today, 256-755-1556, or log on insulatewitheagle.com. The Huntsville Sports Commission is responsible for bringing high-level sports entertainment to the Rocket City. In 2023, enjoy events like the CCSA Beach Volleyball Championships, Hometown Lenders Championship, UCI Paracycling Road World Cup, and so much more. To learn more about upcoming events and the Huntsville Sports Commission, visit huntsvillesports.com. The Huntsville Sports Commission. We do sports.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Welcome back. Stan McDonald from the Stanton Law Firm. I had lunch with Lewis just recently and with a client of ours, a mutual client, and great to hear all the good things going on at the Stanton Law Firm.
Thank you, Wes. The Stanton Law Firm, as you know, we've discussed before, we're dirt lawyers. We do a lot of real estate, litigation and closing. And yes, my son Lewis McDonald enjoyed meeting you a couple of weeks ago, and a couple of your friends. He is, as you know, he's opened up a commercial closing division. So he's really helping a lot of people who are trying to close, buy, or sell on their commercial property. And you can't be in this community doing business without knowing Wes neighbors.
I don't know about that, but sure was getting to meet another McDonald and talking a little bit about his grandfather, Coach Dye, and the different things. It was a lot of fun.
Well, your listeners are really going to enjoy meeting Lewis and you in this community. And like I said, at Jacob Title or the Stanton Law Firm, we close business. We do some good commercial closings, residential closings. We appreciate being part of your show.
Hello, listeners. My name is Jonathan Dunwoody, and I own Minuteman Press. We are a full-service print shop that is locally owned and operated. I have personally been handling direct mail for over 17 years and have a great relationship with the USPS. We are the only print shop in the area that is listed as a print provider on their website and the only printing franchise that can use their logo as our partner on marketing materials. We can help from conception to design, print, and delivery to the post office. And with our easy, secure online payment option, you don't even need to leave your office. Minuteman Press, we're not just putting ink on paper, we're building relationships.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Not only was TCU a big loser last night in the national championship game, Mattress Mac was a big loser as well. Now, Mattress Mac, of course, places ginormous bets on everything Texas. He won a ton of money on the Houston Astros, winning the World Series and everything. Well, he better quit betting against the Georgia Bulldogs. Let's just say that, okay? So last year, Mattress Mac put $6.2 million down for Alabama to win the national title game over Georgia last year.
Oh, boy.
And we all know how that one played out. So Mattress Mac lost $6.2 million last year. This year, he scaled it back a little bit.
Yeah.
Put $3 million down on TCU to beat Georgia to win the national championship. We all know how that played out. Not so well. So in the past 2 seasons, just in college national championship games, Mattress Mac has lost $9.2 million in betting against the Georgia Bulldogs.
He got more money. He got sense. That's all I'll say. I mean, if you just want to give it away, give me $2 million. I'll never need any more money. I mean, good heavens to Betsy.
He has lost $9.2 million.
I mean, who was it that used to make all these stupid? Was it Floyd Mayweather?
Yeah, he's made some dumbass bets. Yeah. He has.
You know, he would just put up these obscene, and he would show you like the stacks of cash. I mean, it's not like he was just like, give me a line of credit for X million. He would just bring it up to the dang table or whatever, and say, here's my stacks of money to show you that he had it, and go flush it down a toilet somewhere. I guess just to prove that he could.
You've said it before, gamblers got to be resilient. Any final thoughts on today?
It'll take me about
5 seconds to get over this and look forward to the next adventure. A gambler has to be resilient. You got to know they're going to knock you down, and you get knocked down a lot. I mean, the people in the Hall of Fame they batted 300. That means they struck out 5 or 6 times out of 10, but they still got back up and win again. So that's what we'll do. We regroup and go forward again and say thank you to our great customers for participating in this.
So he's going to keep putting big bets down.
I don't know, man. Sound like he had taken something.
He got
funky.
2.5. He also has a $2.5 million bet out right now that the Houston Cougars will win the national title in basketball.
I mean, come on. I mean, I got bills to pay. Just give me some of that. I can get out of debt. I mean, come on.
He won the largest payout in sports betting history, though,
Right.
when he bet. He won $75 million on the Houston Astros.
So was this year's Houston championship? When
Yeah,
they
he
won?
won $75 million on the Astros winning it all.
Well, I could just slide me a couple. You won't miss it.
I mean, if you're gonna throw it down the drain, betting on TCU.
Exactly. I mean, come on. I won't tell anybody, man. Living the life there.
Oh,
good Lord.
Speaking of living the life, Stetson Bennett has lived the life in college football long enough. So says his college head coach, Kirby Smart, after last night's title game.
I personally think next year is going to be a much, much more difficult challenge over this year because we had so many guys leaving last year. We got a lot of guys coming back, and unfortunately this one right here is not. And tell you a quick story. I walked into they got a real nice head coach's office in that room over there. And I don't know if Stetson knows this, but I walked in and my 10-year-old son, Andrew's bawling. And I was like, oh, no, somebody's hurt his feelings. Somebody's thrown him down. Somebody's done something to him. I said, why are you crying? You're going to ruin my moment. He said, Stetson's leaving. Stetson's gone. I said, he's 25 years old. He's got to go. Got to leave. But he's bawling about Stetson being gone. And, most of our team, we'll have a lot of guys coming back.
Yeah, he's paying Social Security by now. Well, I mean, it's just like I think Coach Schulman, hopefully when he visits with us this week, he'll get a kick out of this because he scored his, his 1,000th point the other day, I think.
No, he picked up his 100th win.
No, his 100th win. I'm sorry.
He picked up his 100th win as a Charger.
Now Coach Schulman will throw me under the bus for that. But it was his 100th win as a Charger, and I said, congratulations, Professor Schulman.
Yeah.
Because basically he's been there so long, he is a professor. So he is a winner. There's no doubt about it. But, sorry, he's scored well over 1,000 points. I think Steve Moulton even said he's outscored Sam Morf now. So I think he tweeted that. So and I'm sure Steve is.
Sam did it in less amount of time.
Well, he did, but we're not mentioning that. You mentioned that, not me. Now, I'm not getting thrown under the bus for that.
I will.
Okay.
I will. Oh, yeah, we'll get Coach Schulman. They don't play till Saturday, so we got time. They don't play till Saturday. Yeah, and it's on the road, so you're safe. You don't have to worry about him giving you a hard time for not showing up to a game.
Yeah.
But we're about done with hour number 1. When we kick off hour number 2, Brett Norsworthy will join the show.
Yeah.
And the Ole Miss Rebels and Mississippi State and everything.
Well, the SEC as a whole. What does he think of the playoff? I mean, it just seemed like.
I mean,
what a beat down. I mean,
look,
America.
SEC folks. Now that Georgia won this, 13 of the last 17 national championships have gone to the SEC. Most recently, Alabama, Georgia, LSU.
And 2 of those were to Clemson too.
Yeah. Alabama, Georgia, LSU have made it 6 of the last 8.
Yeah.
Clemson claimed the other 2 in 16 and 18.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just the SEC. Folks, nobody in the Midwest or the West or the Northeast can win college football national championships.
They all stink. I'll say it again. The Heisman Trophy winner lost to Tulane. Tulane! That's how bad. But Southern Cal should have been in, according to some of these idiots. Tulane!
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Check out VSiN's catalog of original podcasts, daily and weekly programming to keep you in the know when you're on the go. only at VSIN.com. Now, here are the latest lines from my guys in the desert.
Georgia pounded TCU Monday 65-7 to become the first team in a decade to win back-to-back national championships. The Bulldogs already favored to win it all next year at plus 300 ahead of Ohio State and Alabama, each at plus 700, Michigan at plus 800, and USC at plus 1,200. NFL wildcard round set to get underway Saturday. The Seahawks a 10-point underdog at the 49ers. The Jaguars a 1-point underdog at home against the Chargers. Then Sunday, the Dolphins an 11-point underdog at the Bills, Giants plus 3 at the Vikings, and the Bengals minus 6.5 at home against the Ravens. On Monday night, the Bucks plus 3 at home against the Cowboys.
I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
All right, it's hour 2 of Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. And congratulations again to the Georgia Bulldogs. They win their second straight national championship. Georgia, with that, they joined an exclusive club of back-to-back national champions. The last team to do it was Alabama in 11 and 12. So now when you look at it, the SEC has won 4 college football titles in a row by 3 different teams.
Yeah.
LSU, Alabama, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
6 of the 8 national champions, the last national champions the SEC has claimed, and 13 of the last 17 national championships have gone to the SEC. I know other conferences, other fans want to give the SEC a hard time because of the hashtag "It just means more." You hear it in the commercials. It's the motto of the SEC. It just means more. But, folks, it really doesn't just mean more. It really means more. And the SEC is just dominant.
The more you see, the more it's so readily apparent. So, and our next guest, I consider him an SEC historian, and in addition to being a huge part of the pre- and post-game Ole Miss Football Radio Network, also his daily radio program with Gabe Kuhn in Memphis, Sports Time from 3 to 6 each Monday through Friday. He does an outstanding job. We always enjoy bringing him back into the conversation and wishing him a Happy New Year. We hope he had a Merry Christmas as well, but it's great to see and hear from Brett Norsworthy once again. Brett, how are you this morning, sir?
I'm well, and a Happy New Year to y'all. And you're right, guys. Scott, you're right. It does mean more. And to anybody out there that wants to pick at the SEC, okay, fine. Here's the biggest, fairest pick at the SEC and complaint at the SEC. We're not perfect. We don't bat 1,000. Who does? You know? So, okay, so we don't win every ball game. We don't win every postseason award. We're not perfect, but it's pretty darn close to it, and I wish a lot of other people would take a ride on this September, October, November, and postseason train that we have to ride on in the SEC. But the one thing, the biggest thing, if you want to complain about something about the SEC, and it's ESPN driving, it's ESPN owning the SEC network, wait a few months till the NFL has its draft. And the best sports league in the world, the best place that football's played in the world, the National Football League, they see fit every year to replenish their stock with more SEC players than any other. If the best players were coming from the Horizon League, that's where they would be drafting them from. If Charles Manson could run a 4.240, they'd be drafting him from the California Penal Institution.
So Georgia wins this in dominating fashion, and you know they did have to sweat against Ohio State, and Ohio State was a formidable opponent for Georgia. I mean, they gave Georgia everything they could handle. We all know how that ends up playing out. But what's the rest of the gap in the SEC? I mean, has Georgia and Alabama have we always talk about the gap between the top and the bottom of the SEC? Is it really big?
I think this year, Scott, if you judge the league bottom up, the bottom wasn't as salty. It wasn't as good. Look at the bowl game.
Yes.
Last night was the 7th bowl win. But the first 6, it kind of went in order. The top 6 teams, you could get down there at 6 and argue, was Arkansas really better than South Carolina? They did beat them back in week 2. But at the end of the year, South Carolina was playing better, lost a heartbreaker to Notre Dame. Arkansas won a wild one in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl against Kansas. Quality of competition and all that good stuff, but it mostly went to form. The top half was much better than the bottom, and it won in the bowl season. Going into the bowls, I thought the SEC would go 7-4. It went 6-5. Okay, I don't think I need to be banished to Sports Talk Radio version of Guantanamo for missing by 1, but that's what people expect. I mean, that when you miss a little bit in the SEC, there you go, we got you. Well, you don't have anything. And last night, I thought Georgia would win 45-17. By 28, they won by 58. And I think 28 would be the minimum TCU could ever play them to if they played 10 times in a row at Fort Worth.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it was just that big a gap by the time we got to the finals. You follow this league as much as anyone, Brett. When this playoff expands in a couple years, I still think it's going to be the SEC Invitational unless the fools, some of these people, these idiots that run college football decide to try to tweak the process and keep SEC teams out.
Well, they will, and it's very much like they do come Omaha, come college baseball tournament time. They almost make it to where once you get to Omaha, the SEC doesn't take over, and it still finds a way, for 22,000 Ole Miss fans to get out there with, 20,000 Arkansas fans this year and a good number of Auburn fans and other fans. It still kind of finds a way because it just means more. If you played it in Mars, we would get there and would show out. Everybody was so proud of TCU and the crowd they took. Well, Georgia took a big crowd, and Georgia takes big crowds everywhere. But, yeah, I think, Drew, I think once we get to that, if it's any type of fair divvying up of the brackets, I don't see how it won't be minimum 2 out of 4 in the Final Four. And a lot of years 3, and maybe that anomaly, and that'll make them want to expand it even more. Let's expand to 32 and 45, and let's eventually make college football look like the top level of Texas State high school football, where they play 10 regular season games, but the 2 teams that play in the championship of the highest level, that's their 18th game of the year. For 2 teams, once you get into the playoffs, you almost play a full another season, because we don't want to tell anybody. You're just not good enough.
Wow, that's probably the best analogy I've heard.
Brett Norsworthy with us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. And Brett, okay, we know the Stetson Bennett story. 2 national championships now. He's got an SEC championship. I mean, he's got Heisman finalist to his name. He's got all kinds of accolades. Where do we put Stetson Bennett now among all these great SEC quarterbacks?
He's deserving, and it's very much, and you saw the winning percentage on a lot of graphics over the last few days of Jay Barker, and I'll still defend Jay to the very end. Jay had a cup of coffee as an NFL player. I think Stetson Bennett can have that. Very similar to Greg McElroy. I think Stetson Bennett and Greg McElroy's games are a lot alike. They played around a galaxy of stars, but they delivered. When asked to deliver, they came through. I think he is deserving. Probably, and we did it yesterday. We did Big Four, Top Four, Mount Rushmore, whatever you want to call it, for Georgia and TCU all time. And I don't think there's any player that is easier to name the greatest player ever for a school than it is to associate Herschel Walker with Georgia football. But I think Stetson Bennett has probably moved in there as number 2.
Probably has. I mean, I've already made this statement once he retires from football, and if he doesn't go into coaching in any kind of capacity. I mean, you and I have been in this business. You've been in it a lot longer than I have, but I've been in it 7 years. I'm just waiting on the Bennett and Ballou show, and they'll have sponsors falling all over themselves in the state of Georgia to make that show go. and Stetson won't have to pay his mortgage, won't have to find a job, won't have to pay for a drink or food ever again in the state of Georgia.
He never buys a golf ball at Augusta National.
That's great.
Shop and say, give me one of everything and stack it up and charge it to Billy Payne.
Exactly. Got all of that.
Yeah. Where does Georgia go from here now? I mean, obviously, you look at their schedule next year. They've won 17 in a row right now. You look at their schedule, very, 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 and I stress very favorable for next year. They do have to go to Knoxville next year. I don't know what Tennessee will have, but we know Josh Heupel turned the corner this year. We don't know if they're going to sustain that next year. But, I mean, what should we expect from Georgia in 23?
Well, that first 7 games, I mean, they could almost play Charlie Trippy now at quarterback and start 7-0 against that schedule next year. And you could almost say it's a cakewalk to 10-0 before they go to Knoxville the weekend before Thanksgiving next year, and they're going to keep on winning. I think we're on a collision course for Bama and Georgia first weekend in December next year, and that would be the last time the SEC championship game will be played first weekend in December. Is that what, as I'm told, will move up to kind of a Thanksgiving weekend thing once we go to the expanded playoff format. So on a collision course, and, I hope he had a good time with his comment last night, and I see his buddy Marcus Spears is really having a good laugh. Marcus Spears, I think you probably need to be a little bit more appreciative of Nick Saban than you are. I mean, he's the one that recruited you, identified you as you're not a tight end, you're off the edge guy. And you've got more money now than most of us can imagine, largely because he identified you as that. Many others probably could have done it, but he did it. You might need to be a little more appreciative of Coach Nick Saban than you are. But David Pollack had fun with his comment last night, and that started it. The Nick Saban Revenge Tour starts today.
Yeah, we're going to see. And speaking of that, it's a perfect segue. And it kind of could involve Ole Miss. There's a lot of smoke, a lot of rumors about Pete Golding coming to work for Lane Kiffin. It looks like Lane wants to shake up his staff. He certainly wasn't satisfied with that last quarter of the season after that 7-0 start, Brett. Going into his 4th year, where's Lane Kiffin's program right now?
Well, it's in really good shape. 5 wins the first year, and then 10 last year, and then 8 this year. But got off to that 8-1, and then just barely limped to the finish line with some really, really poor efforts and some really poor play and really poor execution down the stretch of the year. The Alabama game took a lot out of Ole Miss. That was probably the best Ole Miss played all year. Played really, really, really well, and just couldn't beat them. Bryce Young was just too much. That shimmy, that shake he made to free himself up and make a touchdown pass was really the key to the game, and the big Zach Evans fumble before halftime. And you think TCU missed Zach Evans and Kari Coleman this year? I don't think they did. But Ole Miss has got a lot to correct going into next year. I think it's probably more questions going into next year than Lane Kiffin's had any year, even his first year, because you knew you were okay with Matt Corral. We got to find out at Ole Miss if we're really okay with Jackson Dart. Now they're trying to find a portal quarterback, a transfer quarterback, because there's just not a capable backup. And I think they also very much want to push Jackson Dart in the springtime and even into August like they did last year to keep him hungry, to keep him motivated, to keep him to keep pushing him.
And then Brett, and the reason I bring up Pete Golding, I know he lost his DJ Durkin to Texas A&M, but it does seem like with the way they struggled defensively down the stretch, he wants to make changes on that side.
Well, going to have to make maybe changes schematically, and I think Pete Golding or a lot of coaches now would still want to run the 3-4, and it was just wide open for everybody, especially the quarterback, to run against Ole Miss. I don't know why early in the year more teams didn't, and then they figured it out in Robbie Ashford and KJ Jefferson and others. Even Mississippi State ran the ball. Mississippi State doesn't want to run the ball. Ran the ball against Ole Miss. I mean, when you have a 3-4 and have those split, I mean, you're asking your linebackers. You better have Will Anderson and Patrick Willis and Cornelius Bennett out there at linebacker to run sideline to sideline and make that many tackles, and they just didn't The portal losses out of last year were not replaced as well. Chance Campbell was a big loss. Troy Brown was good, but he did not sufficiently replace him. So you're going to see, schematic-wise, if that fits with your personnel.
Yeah, no question about it. 3 to 6, Brett Norsworthy will be on with Gabe Kuhn, talking some sports today on Sports Radio 56 in Memphis, Tennessee. One of the best shows in the southeastern United States. Brett, man, we always appreciate it. Sports Time today from 3 to 6. It's been an honor to be a part of that show. Thank you for talking some SEC with us, man. And again, Happy New Year, and thank you for joining us.
Thank y'all. If you think everybody's mad at the SEC now, wait till Tennessee and Alabama's in the Final Four.
Exactly. Sports Radio 56 WHBQ, Brett Norsworthy. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
All right, there you go, Brett Norsworthy with us. We got to get that break in. When we come back, 256-576-4977. Phone lines back open to you, and more college football talk.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Just got a new wreck in Old Gurley and Low Gap. That one is coming in with injuries. Got one at 72 in Glaze in Limestone County. They reported it as a no injury, but I think they may have upgraded it to an injury type. Everything else seems to be moving along okay. You be careful on the rest of your trip in. The $6 big box is back at Popeyes with 2 pieces of the hand-battered Louisiana seasoned chicken, 2 sides out of buttermilk biscuit. Popeyes University and Jordan, 72 in Jeff and North Parkway. Captain Nick in the Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
Normally, when you call a roofing company, all you hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Since 1965, the folks at Fleming have been focused on what you need, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement, commercial or residential. And when it comes to storm damage, you want Fleming on your side. They know all the ins and outs of insurance claims and will guide you through the entire process. Log on FlemingHSV.com and book your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
Football season is here, and as always, the best place to catch every game is downtown at Humphreys Bar and Grill. Humphreys is celebrating by bringing back their game day football specials. $2.75 Miller Lite, Coors Light, Yingling, and $3.50 Yellowhammer Gold Pints. $4 Fireball shots. Anytime football is on. And don't forget football trivia every Sunday night at 6. The best place to catch all the games all season long is downtown at Humphreys Bar and Grill.
Chapman Commercial Realty, your source for Alabama commercial real estate. Chapman Commercial Realty has the experience and expertise you're looking for when making commercial real estate decisions. If it's office space, retail space, investment property, or project development, Chapman Commercial Realty is your answer. Call Bill Chapman today at 256-656-8413. That's 256-656-8413. Or find them online at chapmancommercialrealty.com.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
At Bryant Bank, we believe your goals are worth chasing, and every step along the way is worth celebrating. From your hopes for the future to the challenges that keep you up at night, we're here for you. Bryant Bankers put care into action to help you live legendary by stepping up when you need us most and doing what's right even when no one is watching. Come experience a local bank whose people greet you by name and treat you like family. Bryant Bank, member FDIC.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone, and been kind of reacting to Georgia's dominating win over TCU last night in the national championship game, and some things to consider. Think about this. Okay, the SEC played the Big 12 champion, the Big 12 runner-up, the Big 10 runner-up, and the ACC champion.
Yeah.
Okay? 4-0. Outscored them 204 to 48. 204 to 48. When they expand the college football playoffs, we're going to get more of that. We will. We'll get more of what we saw last night when we expand the college football playoffs. Because the matchups will sometimes come that way. We're going to get more of it. Let's go to Mark from Huntsville.
What's up, Mark?
Hey, I nailed it, didn't I, Drew?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we both knew that Georgia was going to win. I just kind of go back just to kind of rewind. I just felt like, again, the way Alabama dominated a team that TCU couldn't. And knowing Georgia, on the big stage, just knew that game was. Did I know they were going to beat them 65-7? No, but I did know they were going to beat them by 4 touchdowns, which I called or more. And I think part of that goes to you mentioned earlier. As a matter of fact, it was strange. I kind of got sick in my stomach. I started thinking, I knew the committee didn't get the best 4 or the top 4 teams. And that was always the point that the committee's job, like when they look at their list, they're supposed to look at number 1, first criteria, top 4 teams. The best 4 teams, right? And of all the years the committee has been doing what they've been doing, and thank God that's about to go away, at least in terms of 4 teams. This is the first year I think you could argue, regardless of the score last night, that, well, I don't know, I wouldn't say regardless of the score last night, I'll rephrase that this is the first year that I think anyone could, look at it and say, you know what, the committee didn't get this right. But we knew that when they put it out. So, and not just because I'm an Alabama homer, but just everyone knew that Alabama was the fourth best team, but you just couldn't put them in because of politically correctness and because it hadn't ever been done before. And that's the shame of it. But hey, what I really want to call about real quick was Alabama. Coach Saban is so brilliant. I enjoyed the pregame. I don't know if y'all saw all of that, but Saban got so much attention and just so much University of Alabama. Not that Alabama needs more attention, but I just thought he fit in so well that I think once he leaves Alabama, I mean, I really can't see him. I don't know if he'll want to do it, but I thought he did a good job, in that pregame on the set.
Well, Mark, he's had a deal on his desk in the past from ESPN and the TV networks to do that. I mean, he'll have his opportunity if he so chooses it. And he did a good job. And it's smart, and you want to get airtime and get your brand out there and get your head coach with these guys, even if you have to put up with a narcissistic prick like David Pollock, throwing it in your face that his school took 41 years to finally win it once, and now they won it back-to-back. Probably thinks they'll never lose a game again, but that's fine.
We'll get to David Pollock here in a little bit.
All I heard, 3 or 4 or 5 years ago is that Trevor Lawrence was God, and he'd never lose another game. He might as well go pro after he won it all over Alabama as a sophomore, and they'd never, he'd win 2 more national championships, and Clemson was going something and and he didn't win any. So, he didn't even win a Heisman Trophy. So, again, a lot of people blow V8 and run their mouths. And I'm sure Pollock has already signed a couple of Georgia National Championship T-shirts and put them on eBay so he can, brag.
That's a good point, Drew.
Pissant.
That was the one thing that I guess as an Alabama fan that, I didn't like was I thought that Curb Street did a decent job, but I also watched the Skycam, I guess.
Right.
And you had Blackledge or whatever that fool's name is, and he used the word that he didn't say the dynasty is over, but let me make sure I get the right words. It was basically saying the same thing. It said there's no question now that Georgia is the king of college football and has didn't say replaced Alabama, but used. I mean, he said everything but the Alabama. I mean, really, I thought, why do you have to say that? Number one, and two, they don't have the consistency over time for him to make that boneheaded statement. And you make a great point, and I'll hang up on this. You just mentioned a great point. Clemson is a great example to look at before Georgia starts going off and, building new buildings and statues and towers. Let's see, Clemson fell off the map, run off, or I don't know, I hadn't seen the last time they've done anything at all. So, not saying that Georgia won't, but good point there, and I'll hang up on that. Good point.
Well, as far as kings of the college football world, yes, Georgia right now is the king of the college football world because they've won two straight national. Yeah, they've won two straight national championships. You can't argue that point, but time will tell. Clemson tried to do this, and Clemson accomplished it. But Dabo Swinney, the one thing with Clemson that kept them going was the continuity of coaches among his staff there for Dabo Swinney. And we've seen what has happened there. He loses his assistant coaches, and Clemson has taken a step backwards. Backwards. Georgia, well, what Kirby Smart has done, Kirby Smart has lost his coordinator. He lost Dan Lanning and has replaced him. And they have seemed to have moved and stayed together. They've lost some draft picks after last year and have stayed together. We'll see the long sustainability of Georgia. But right now, Georgia is the king of college football right now.
They have to be. Yeah. I mean, Clemson was at one point. But, Clemson had their dynasty going. And people forget they also lost Alabama narrowly in the 2016 national championship game for the 2015 season. It was a 45-40 game where Alabama scored late to beat the Clemson Tigers. So Clemson had their run. Georgia's on theirs now, and we'll see if Georgia can continue to keep it up. I mean, it's very difficult to do. Nick Saban, since 2009, or really 2008, because 2008 was a near miss as well, but they didn't make the national championship game. But when you just talk about just pure national championship games and, basically one win away from the title, Coach Saban has won 6 at Alabama, and then he's lost 3 national championship games. He lost in 16, lost in 18, and lost in 21. So he could have won 9. And then if you want to get technical, like I say, he came very close once again in 08, came very close in 14 and 13 and 14, I should say, because 13, if they don't lose the kick 6, then they're in the SEC championship game. They're very likely in the BCS. And then in 14, Scott, as you remember, they lost in the semifinals. But when you lose in the semifinals, you're not playing for it all. So that doesn't count, but it still was a very, they were in the mix, so to speak. Yep. So that's what it's going to take for Georgia. They certainly are putting themselves in position to do this. They certainly are recruiting at that high level. They finished with the number 2 class behind Alabama. So Georgia, in their preseason number 1 going into next year. So we'll see. Alabama was a heavy favorite going into this past season. It didn't happen. So we will see going forward, and we'll see if Georgia loses any coaches after the season's wrapped, how many guys they lose, to the draft, to the portal. But you got to give Kirby credit. He's done a hell of a job.
All right, Johnny on his cell real fast. Good morning, Johnny.
Hey, guys.
What's going on, Johnny?
Yeah, it was pretty much unwatchable. Like I said, I mean, that damn 335 isn't worth crap, and they showed. I mean, look, the problem for us this year was that you had Ohio State and Michigan, who played nobody out of conference, get into their game undefeated, and one of them was in, and the other one was like, Ohio State got beat by 26 by a team, and I'm like, were they sleepwalking against Michigan? Because the team that played Georgia would have beat down Michigan by 3 touchdowns if they'd have been on hitting on all cylinders. So I don't know what happened. I don't know if old Khaki Boys got Ryan Day's number, but I mean it was embarrassing that Michigan made. I mean, the Big Ten is 1-7 since Ohio State won it all. The Big 12 is 1-5 now since they in the playoffs. The SEC is like 15-4. but the narrative gets lost every year. It's like the media has selective amnesia when it comes to what really matters in the football game. And the SEC has shown time and time again, if you put two SEC schools in the championship playoffs, they win their way to the final.
Well,
now the Big Ten had their one shot and they went 0 for 2. And I'm sorry, but the Big Ten was the bigger problem for us. I mean, TCU, obviously they were undefeated going into their last game, and that got them in. But the best is different than the most deserving. And once we get to the 12-team playoffs, if they don't like an SEC Finals, they're damn sure not going to like an SEC Final Four.
Well, and Johnny, I'll just say this. This just shows you the national media's stupidity. And it's Dennis Dodd, who I've never liked, and I will call his name out, from CBS, stating after he watched Alabama-Tennessee, think about that game, Johnny. Think about, you saw it. It was one of the best games of the year. And that moron, and he is on the short list early in our process for moron of the year, said Bryce Young's Heisman candidacy is over after he watched that game. Think about how stupid that sounds when you watch the performance of Bryce Young in that game and say he's not one of the top 3 to 4 to 5 Heisman Trophy candidates. That is absolutely asinine stupidity, and they pay that schmuck to be a national college football voice, and he is an idiot. And if you want a piece of me, Dodd, call into the show, because I will beat your brains out, son. I'll bring it on anytime you want. You'll never be invited, but if you'd like to call in, I'll whip your ass.
Well, you know what? Let me echo something real quick about that, too. There is so much Bama tiredness. I mean, fatigue, as you would have called it. There's so much Bama fatigue. There is no way the committee could put Bama in as much as they know enough. I'll guarantee you, every guy on that committee knows that with Bryce Young, Will Anderson, and that team sitting out there with 2 losses by 3 points, everybody on that committee knew that Bama would have won their way to the final, and they could not stomach another SEC versus SEC Final Four.
There's no doubt that Dodd can't stand the SEC. That's a
Johnny,
fact.
thanks for the phone call.
Thank you, Johnny. He's a definite Big Ten shill. I can tell you that.
We got to get a break in when we come back. We got a lot to unpack there. A lot to unpack. We'll start. Poor Dennis Dodd. What did Dennis Dodd do today? We'll get a break in.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
It looks like they have canceled Hemsey on that wreck on Old Gurley. That one was at Low Gap Road. Still may be working on getting it cleared out of the way. Had one at 72 and Glaze in Limestone County, I think got updated to an injury type. Still may be working on getting it clear. Snelling needs production schedulers for Northeast Huntsville, 9 to 6, Monday through Friday. Snelling, how the area's best companies hire talent. Huntsville.snelling.com. Captain Nick in the 72 and Jeff, Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
Hello, listeners. I want to tell you a little bit about Minuteman Press and what we have to offer our community. We specialize in paper printing and can help from designing your piece to the finished product. We print media guides for many of the athletic departments at high schools and universities around the area. We typically purchase sponsorships from these schools as well to try and help them with their fundraising. Once we have reached our new normal, we also print all types of marketing materials for you to hand out either in person, via mail, or at various trade shows and events. At Minuteman Press, we're not just putting ink on paper, we're building relationships.
Qualis Corporation, headquartered here in Huntsville, is a woman-owned small business providing technical services in the areas of engineering analysis, testing, and support services to both commercial and government customers. For 29 years, Qualis employees have provided award-winning support to complex technical and engineering efforts, helping ensure critical programs, products, and systems are acquired, tested, and fully operational when fielded. Qualis Corporation, proud sponsor of the UAH Chargers. Go Chargers!
We love our pets, and when we need boarding or vet services, we want the best. That's why we chose Paradise Pet Resort and Spa. Everything our pets needed, all in one place. Boarding for both dogs and cats. Doggy daycare, grooming and spa services, web cameras, and top-notch vet care, too. It's a true Paradise Pet Resort for your furry friends, serving all of North Alabama. Find out everything you need to know and book services online at ParadisePetResortandSpa.com. Located in Madison, just off 565 at Wall Triana, behind Cracker Barrel.
Football season is here, and as always, the best place to catch every game is downtown at Humphreys Bar and Grill. Humphreys is celebrating by bringing back their game day football specials. $2.75 Miller Lite, Coors Light, Yingling, and $3.50 Yellowhammer Gold Pints. $4 Fireball shots. Anytime football is on. And don't forget football trivia every Sunday night at 6. The best place to catch all the games all season long is downtown at Humphreys Bar and Grill.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language, like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
Greeny with Mike Greenberg.
This is Mike Greenberg. You're listening to 97.7 ESPN The Zone, your home of ESPN Radio, the Alabama Crimson Tide, Atlanta Braves baseball, Huntsville Havoc hockey, and the UAH Chargers.
Hi, welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone, and I get a chuckle. I get a chuckle out of these because the moment, and I mean the moment, the college football season ends, ESPN goes and puts these out. I mean, they do it for the basketball season. Yeah, they do this for the basketball season. They do this for whatever. And I get a chuckle out of it because it means absolutely nothing in the grand scheme of things. Absolutely nothing. But ESPN put out their way too early 2023 football rankings. And I did kind of laugh at it because, I mean, just to tell you how pointless they are, remember, Texas A&M was picked 6th in the preseason AP poll, and we all know how dirt next season turned out. Not very good, outside of the top 25. But anyway, the top 5 in the ESPN way too early 2023 rankings. Are you ready for these? Georgia number 1, obviously, because they're the defending national champions. Ohio State at number 2, Michigan number 3, Florida State number 4, and Alabama number 5.
Man, I'm going to tell you what, it doesn't take them long, bro.
I mean, we're not even 24 hours removed
all I'll say is
from crowning
it doesn't take them long. Like, for this season, are they going to fire Mike Norvell? Now they got the SOB in the playoffs.
Yeah,
it doesn't take long.
They got Florida State. Oh, in the top.
I don't know how politically it works, but I couldn't help it. I mean, because they can't. These guys don't control how bad the football is that they're officiating. But I'm sitting here thinking, wow, we're at the national championship game. Georgia's playing the tomato can, and the ACC's doing the game, like the refs. I'm like, the sorriest football league in America.
Really? They're worse than the Pac-12.
Yeah, they got to be. I mean, I'm sorry.
Is it close though? Is it a close last? I mean,
I think the Pac-12 is a little bit deeper, honestly. But
really,
the Pac-12 is still not very good. Because just think about it. Like I said, I mean, and I love really Fritz. Done a great job. It's really great for Group of 5 football. But freaking Tulane beat Southern Cal. I mean,
that's what I'm saying, though. That's why I'm. Are we sure to put the ACC in last place over the Pac-12?
Come on, man. The Pac. I mean, the bottom of the ACC is so bad. I mean, they think the SEC was weak this year, but I mean,
Arizona State, Arizona.
But Arizona's improving. I mean, come on. I mean, under Jed Fish,
no.
The ACC is just awful. I mean, the bottom of it is just weak sauce.
We can probably go 1A, 1B.
I mean, at one time or another, Syracuse was considered one of the best teams in their league.
That is true.
This year.
They fell off the map.
Oh, I mean, pathetic.
And then you got the Ruiz Hurricanes.
Yeah. I mean, they lost to Middle Tennessee by like 40 in there. And Scott, this is all I got to say. This is the last thing about the ACC.
Okay.
Miami had 3 buses show up for students, and not one student got on the bus.
That's true.
Not any, Scott. That's got to be a record.
That's true.
How do you do that? How do you
not show?
It's a 45-minute bus ride.
Right. It's free.
It's free. How do you show up with 3 buses and no fans want to see your toilet bowl? How? How does that happen?
And you're supposed to have a great coach. You put all this money into it. You paid a bunch of guys to come there. You're supposed to have a good season. And you don't. But, okay, so the final AP poll did come out. And Georgia, obviously, number 1. TCU, 2.
And I got questions about everybody, and I'm not questioning
Michigan, 3. Ohio State, 4. Alabama, 5. That is how the final AP.
What they did. I'm just getting people sending me messages
right.
How can this happen? How can TCU be number 2 after they lost by 58? It's just who made the playoff, man. That's how they do it. That's their rationale. That's why Alabama didn't move up from 5. I'm not even mad about that. It doesn't even matter at this point. All that matters is who's number 1.
Right. Tennessee finished 6th.
Yeah.
But I do Tulane, which we have mentioned a lot this morning, finished 9th. But there's one school inside the top 25 that we all need to pay attention to and we all need to applaud, because at number 19 at 12-2,
there it is.
Your Sun Belt champions, the Troy Trojans and John Summerall.
There you go. Greatest season in Troy history in year 1.
Yes.
No pressure, coach, but 12 wins, bruh. I mean, I can't wait to see how much better this team gets and this program gets. It was an unbelievable year.
Yeah, he set the bar pretty high now after year 1.
He has.
He's got to deliver now in year 2.
That's what I'm saying. There's some pressure now. Because you and Willie, and I'm talking about Willie Fritz.
Right, at Tulane.
You guys are maybe the 2 highest profile group of 5s right now.
Tulane inside the top 10. Finished 9th in the AP poll.
They beat weak sauce.
You know who they're right behind? Washington at number 8.
There you go, DeBoer. He's done a heck of a job. So in his first year. So, yeah, I mean, you have to put Tulane in the top 10. I mean, after they beat Southern Cal, I mean, good Lord.
All right, to your point.
I got a question, too, though.
To your
really
point,
pissed me off last night.
ACC's best team in the final AP poll is number 11, Florida State. Clemson finished 13th. Those were the only 2. Oh, and Pitt at 22. Those are the only 3 ACC teams.
No, what made me mad last night is they gave airtime to Lincoln. And I know one of the reasons they did, because his brother was the OC from the beat town.
Right.
But why were they giving Lincoln so much airtime? Where was Willie at? I'm sitting there going, Willie beat him. Why didn't Willie get some airtime instead of Lincoln Sharman? Why was Lincoln Sharman
probably in California, and 2, the whole Garrett Riley thing?
Well, it had to be, but I mean, and Garrett was the Broyles Award winner. Had a great year. I mean, they didn't finish like they wanted to, but he got him to the national championship game. He's done a heck of a job. But I mean, I'm just like, wow, it had to be the brother angle. But Willie should have got some airtime too, after whipping him. Give the group of 5 guys some AT, man.
Hey, there's some people that if Bill O'Brien leaves, I saw some people that would love Garrett Riley to be Alabama's offensive coordinator.
Come up, but of course, I'm sure people now. Well, why would you hire somebody that lost by 50? It had nothing to do with it. Good Lord, it's about players, man.
Jimmy's and Joe's.
Yeah, that was the Jimmy's and Joe's thing. If you give Todd Monken TCU's offense last night against that bunch of animals, it's not going to be much different, okay? It's about the players. one side had a lot more players than the other.
Well, we said it yesterday on yesterday's show. Georgia had, 11 5-star recruits or 13 5-star recruits, and the whole Big 12 had 11.
Yeah.
So, there was a huge disparity in talent. All right, got to get that final break in. Tomorrow's headlines today. Hey, the College Football Hall of Fame class was announced yesterday. Who landed in the Hall of Fame? We'll show you next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
They had Himsey en route to a wreck at Old Gurley and Low Gap. Looks like they've canceled them. Still working one in Limestone County. 72 eastbound at Glaze Road. That one may have ended up having a minor injury involved. Everything else looks pretty good. We got a lot of folks in last-minute dash mode this morning, though. You be careful on the rest of your trip in. No hose, no mask. You can ask Dr. Sandman, that's Dr. Sandlin, for the medically proven benefits of the Somnodent for sleep apnea and for snoring. Dr. Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane, Popeyes, Skywatch Traffic Center.
AVIQ. Who is AVIQ? AVIQ is audiovisual the intelligent way, where we put our IQ to work for your AV needs. With more than 100 years combined experience in audio, video, and automation, our team of experts is dedicated to one thing, helping you discover technological solutions that make your home special. Once you experience a game or a movie on one of our state-of-the-art home theater systems, you may never leave the house again. AVIQ can build the entire system for you or provide the quality components if you're a do-it-yourselfer. But AVIQ is more than just home theater and state-of-the-art sound systems. We offer a variety of control options for home technology. Energy efficiency, heightened security, and improved quality of life are all attainable through the automation of home systems. Intuitive and user-friendly control is our main priority in designing a system that meets your needs. Don't just take our word for it. You need to see it to believe it. Come visit us at our state-of-the-art showroom on University, just east of Jim and Nick's, across from AT&T, or visit aviqhsv.com. SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com. Rambo Marine in Hazel Green is your one-stop shop for all things boating. Whether you are ready to surf with the newest Malibu wake boat or cruise on a Cobalt or Barletta pontoon, we have a boat ready for you and your family. Rambo Marine provides exceptional service second to none, so that you are ready to hit the water in no time. Stop by Rambo Marine today. We know boats.
The all-new Huntsville Boat Show kicks off on Thursday, January 12th and runs through Sunday the 15th, and I'll be broadcasting the Tom Abraham Show on location Thursday and Friday the 12th and 13th. This is your chance to shop, compare, and save thousands on the purchase of a new boat with too many brands and models to mention here, so you're just going to have to come on down and check it all out at the Huntsville Boat Show at the Von Braun Center, January 12th through the 15th, and come by my set and see me Thursday and Friday at the show. Go to HuntsvilleBoatShow.com for more.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
This is Attorney Tommy Sinyard on behalf of Sinyard Law, and again proud to be a sponsor of All Things Football here on ESPN Radio. My son Bart and I started our own law firm July 1 and are very proud and excited to be bringing you our 50 years of collective national award-winning injury trial law experience. Check us out on the web, sinyardlaw.com.
Sinyard Law, nationally recognized, locally respected.
It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
All right, so the college, it's kind of like the Super Bowl. When we get to the Super Bowl, they'll announce the Pro Football Hall of Fame inductees. And taking a page right out of that, college football announcing the College Football Hall of Fame inductees for the new year. For the class of 23, 18 players, 4 coaches were selected yesterday. Among those going into the College Football Hall of Fame, he cannot have his Heisman, but he can be in the College Football Hall of Fame. Reggie Bush is going into the College Football Hall of Fame, as is Tim Tebow. Mark Richt will be into the College Football Hall of Fame, and others include Eric Berry, Dwight Freeney, LaMichael James, Derek Johnson, Luke Kuechly, Jeremy Maclin, Bryant McKinney, Brian Westbrook, and D'Angelo Williams are going in. Michael Bishop, Bill Kohler, Terrence Mathis, Corey Moore, Michael Stonebreaker, and Troy Vincent. In addition, Monty Carter, Paul Johnson, and Roy Kramer made it as coaches.
Yeah. To forgive me for the Roy Kramer thing, I'd rather puke. But anyway, but Tim Tebow, he defines it to me.
Yeah.
I mean, 100% authentic guy, 110%, and two-time national champion, Heisman Trophy winner, one of the greatest competitors we've ever seen. Redefined kind of the quarterback position in the Southeastern Conference and took the Gators to their greatest heights. I mean, there's no doubt about it. He basically, as I've said many times, Urban Meyer should basically give part of his salary and his eventual Hall of Fame plaque to Tim Tebow because he elevated that program. He won a lot of games for Urban. He's an unbelievable talent. I still remember Corey Moore, and, of course, he terrorized Alabama in that 98 Music City Bowl where everybody's freezing their rear ends off over at Vanderbilt. What a pass rusher he was. But, yeah, I mean, no doubt, some great players. Michael Stonebreaker, one of the all-time names, at middle linebacker, but still, to me, though, and it was really cool, too, the way ESPN kind of surprised Tim Tebow and gave him a presentation, left his name off initially, and wanted to surprise him with a football presented by the College Football Hall of Fame and the committee, and then just have him give him a special moment. And again, the reason I say it is there's not many people in this world there's not a fake bone in their body, and they're 110% authentic. But Tim Tebow is that. And there's no doubting his love for college football and his love for the Gators and what he did for the game. And it was just a great moment. I didn't see it live. Went back and, happened to see it via social media. Someone put it up. But it was a great moment for him. And you could tell he was genuinely touched, that he had made it. And he was a lock to be in it. Now, I don't like the rules where you're in it. So, there's so many ways to be ineligible. Like Connor O'Gara of Saturday Down South was talking about this on Twitter last night, that Stetson Bennett is ineligible because he wasn't a first-team All-American or whatever, a unanimous. I mean, the guy won 2 national championships and is Rudy on steroids, and you're telling me he can't be in the College Football Hall of Fame?
2 national championships, 2 national championship MVPs.
SEC championship, MVP of every ball game he nearly ever played, but he can't be in it. He can't be in it. Joe says he can't. We got these stupid rules that we can't change them. We can't tweak anything. We're dumb. We're stupid, we're archaic, then we just can't do it, and he just can't be in it.
Poor table
I'm sorry.
this morning.
I mean, I'm just pissed.
All right, Bama Bino's with us this morning. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, guys. Great show.
Morning, Bama Bino.
They just simply wasn't going to call pass interference on TCU last night. Not that it mattered, but did you notice that their backs were hanging all over their receivers?
Well,
all night long, and they simply was not going to call it. I mean, one time right in front of the ref, he just bear hugs the guy about 3 seconds before the ball gets out. But
well, if you're TCU, you might as well try.
I guess they just didn't want it to be 77-3. I don't know.
It's been worse than that.
I mean, we're talking all-time epic beatdown.
Yeah, congratulations. I'll try to get over Steve sometime. Did he go?
No.
He did not go out to Cali. A little bit far. Now, if it had been closer, he might have. But
we decided to sit this one out. Now next year I think it's in Houston, and the year after that it's in New Orleans.
Here we go.
So I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it.
Come on, get back, Alabama.
We need another trip.
New Orleans.
We need another trip.
The food.
I need you on Bourbon Street.
Oh, with a hurricane or something.
Some tells me that Alabama, if we can get the right staff members back in place, Alabama will be at one of those if we can get our staff together.
Yeah.
Now, Drew, I was wanting you to expand on what you said about. Are you saying that Ole Miss has shown interest in Pete Golding?
Yes, I have. Yeah, that's what I was inferring.
So that means that Saban is just quietly saying, "Here's you another opportunity."
Well, he's not going to stop any of his coaches from, talking to people and having opportunities.
But he can edge them. Is that kind of what he's done?
I mean, he's given Pete several raises to stay in Tuscaloosa. We'll see what happens this time, Bama Bino. It's just got to play itself out.
Bama Bino, thanks for the phone call, bud. We do got to move on. We got short time here left. Bob the Georgia Dog with us this morning.
What's up, Bob?
Good morning, Bob.
Hey, good morning, fellas. Happy. Last night was a great beatdown. I don't know why I was worried about it going into it. I guess it's just all the scar tissue from past heartbreaks, but it was awesome. I love seeing the mailman get another win, just a true underdog story that kid is. I'm excited about next season. I mean, who knows what it's going to look like, who the quarterback's going to be, who's Bama's quarterback next. There's so many unknowns, and every season is a new year, and that's what's exciting. The one thing I will say for returning for Georgia, and I'd love to get your thought on it, Brock Bowers. Unbelievable football player. I mean, tight ends never won the Heisman Trophy, but I just don't know if people really that aren't that into football really understand how good of a football player he is. So I'll leave it there. I'm happy. It was great back-to-back. Go Dogs. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you. We appreciate Bama Bino for calling in and making and he was wanting me to comment on Pete Golding. And again, what I've said was, there has been interest there. Coach Saban, he never discourages his assistant coaches from opportunities. He certainly has, talked Kirby into staying in the past. He's had Jeremy Pruitt come back.
Yeah.
He's given Pete Golding raises. But at times you need new blood on a staff. I think Alabama needs that this time. And then with Brock Bowers, you've heard me say it. The thing with Bowers is he just hasn't gotten enough touches. If you could get him 85-plus catches and he could 1,300 yards, I think he could be the first tight end to win the Heisman
I'll just
Trophy.
say this.
I think he is their best football player. Let's put it that way.
I'll just say
Jalen Carter second.
You watching Brock Bowers on TV versus watching Brock
in
Bowers
person,
in
it
person?
just doesn't do it justice to see him in person.
Oh, my goodness.
I agree with that.
In person, it is not even
when you can feel your feet after you almost freeze and have frostbite.
That is true. All right. They had that rain last night.
Dennis Dodd was there, too.
Yeah.
Pathetic.
Slippery noodle, baby. All right.
I brought that up earlier this week, too.
We got to get not a break in. We do got to get a break in, a 24-hour break. We'll be back tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock, talking ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Who knows comfort? Well, comfort is our middle name. If your home isn't as comfortable as you want it to be, we can fix that. We service all makes and brands of heating and cooling systems, even if we didn't install them. So give us a call at Environmental Comfort Systems or visit our website at envcomfort.com. We are your independently owned American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer. Alabama license number 92314. Environmental Comfort Systems. That's EN.